Och vi har ett späckat program framför oss den här timmen nu här på scenen. Jag ska inte dröja mer för att försten ut är en person som jag är jätteglad över att vi har med oss på Kolla Kultur. Hon är regissör, hon är skådespelare, hon är sångerska och hon är nybliven prefekt. Kan alla säga det ordet? Prefekt! Ja, men vilket ord va? Det vi kallade tidigare för rektor är nu prefekt för skådespelar- och mime, alltså programmen på Stockholms konstnärliga högskola, STDH. Och här är hon för att prata med oss och jag är överlycklig. Ge henne en stor och varm applåd! Josette Bushell Mingo!
Thank you. Ja, hej alla, går det bra? Ja, samma fråga hela tiden. Går det bra? Går det bra? Okej, jag har bara 15 minuter med dig så jag kan bara reflektera saker. Kanske när jag pratar det ska bli en konfirmation av vad du vet alltid. Det är ingenting jag säger till dig där du vet inte, men jag säger igen. Men jag ska börja med en liten fråga. Hur många här har sett Lejonkung? Ska jag sjunga en del från Lejonkung? Ska jag? Jag hoppas det är en poäng för här, det vet. Okej. Kommer du ihåg the opening, första scen? Det vet. Och den blir en liten människor, en liten apa. Och du hör en röst, eller hur? Ska jag sjunga? Är du beredd upp där? Ska bli jättehögt, okej? Nansinganya mama kiti baba Siti ho gonyama hey wabo hai babo ha ningon sema baba nan singonya mama ki baba haya helele. Thank you. Hej då. Nej. Hi, my name is Josette Bushell Mingo, and you've had an introduction to me. And there's a reason that I thought of that, because I performed in that production in London, its original production, and I played Rafiki. And I sang that song for almost a year. What's very important about it is at some point, the education department in the United Kingdom took the decision that as many school children as possible should see the production. They even talked about reducing the price of tickets and busing children and young people into the theatre because they believed it was one of the most important things a child could see. It was both an extraordinary spectacle of the African continent and storytelling, but at the same time, it was teaching people, children, about something. It was teaching them, telling them about who they were, about their identity, about what it means to be a grown-up, what it means to accept some of the most fundamental experiences of our life, like death. It was a piece of work full of hope and fear. It was also about family. The Lion King, in some ways, was a perfect meeting of minds, of education and performance. I think that we are now at a pivotal time for education and for the performing arts platforms. Our society is played back to us through the eyes of Trump, Brexit, the rise of the right wing and nationalism, the desperation of migration, and overconsumption of social media and fake news, environmental crisis. But at the intersection of that seeming chaos is you. No pressure. What do I mean by that? We, and I like to think of the eternity symbol, Soha, we that work in the arts education are being asked more than ever before to look deeply at what we teach, who we teach it to, our points of reference. We in the arts, and I move them together as brother and sister, as voice and song, I put them together because we are doing the same work. We are being asked what kind of society we want. Now, I know you know this. I know you know this. I know this. When I wrote this, I knew it. But I feel that this is a possibility to say it again and to have affirmation even after a long day. Because you are amazing. You sit at the intersection of this chaos. You can help us. You can help our children to navigate their way through. I believe deeply that we are doing the same thing, whether it's arts practitioners or art practitioners within the rooms of education. And there are two things I believe that bind us together: truth and choice. They link us together. We are responsible, whether we like it or not, whether we agree with the government or not, we are responsible, and we may do it differently. We are responsible in creating the spaces for truth to be spoken, for truth to be understood and questioned. And we as adults are already having a tough time navigating this, right? Where is the truth? What is it I'm supposed to teach to the children, to the young people? Where is my grenze? We are creating rooms where truth can be questioned, creating minds and people that can reject and embrace ideas. What we show on our stages is linked to what happens in the schools, even in those early days. I have two sons. Their father is white Swede. They are perceived as black. When my children leave my home and they go to the dagis, actually they're now 14, 15, 16, but just imagination. When they left my house and went to the dagis, when they left my house and continued to go to school, I had to trust that the teachers would do the work I could no longer do at home. That in your hands you would explain to them who they were and where they came from. You would be able to explain to them why they are valued and loved. In your hands you have helped my sons to grow up to be the men they are. What we show and teach in the schools in these early days, even in these early days, impact the thoughts and allow our children to become the adults of the future. I know you know this, but we must know it and hear it again even more. It is more urgent, and therefore we are more motivated. My children, those young people will go on into the arts, will go on onto the stage. This circle that I talk about, they will become the future theatre directors. They will become the future novelists. They will also be parents and teachers. They themselves will carry what you give them, which is extraordinary, and then go on to teach it themselves. It is a well-known fact that what happens in the schoolroom goes home, right? Children speak with their parents. Whatever it is they are learning with you will go home and come back and go home and come back. I assume we are asking the same question. What kind of society do we want? What does it look like? What is the intersection of that? What does it actually look like? I cannot answer because I think that this is a collective work. What is it going to look like in the schools, with the education? What is it going to look like? What kind of people are we reaching? Inspiring and challenging. I like to believe that learning is lifelong. There becomes the circle again. Where one thing stops, the other continues. Where the art stops, the education comes in. There is flow between the two. There is a power. There is a relationship in that power. And this is where it starts to get dangerous. I'm now talking about the intersection of truth. Vad fan är det? Vad hon pratar om? Jag vet inte. The intersection of truth, what is that? By that I mean, we can still dictate what happens on the stages. I'm not just talking about casting a person of African descent in a role. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about in the schoolroom because you have a list of books there that may show other people from other cultures, etc. We know, all of us know, because you are amazing. You know this already. This is something deeper. The danger is that we can dictate to children and to young people still. We can dictate to them what is shown on the stage. We can ignore. And this is a very controversial thought, I guess, because I don't believe you who are amazing, you won't be ignoring it. But you know already there are gaps in what we are being able to teach our young children. You are meeting that day after day after day where you know that this cannot be said to another child, but I do not have the power to stop this. That another child is utsatt or asks a question I have no jurisdiction to answer. What small steps can we do in our own area, in our own job, in our everyday? We can on the stage continue to perform productions that just reflect back, reflect back, reflect back. And that's why the meeting is so important. You teach an intersectional truth, you show everything that's possible in the world, and then they come into the theater and they don't see it. But I was taught at Dagis, I was taught at school that I am worth and I am of value and I am somebody and I have the right, and it doesn't matter what functionality, class, ethnicitet, gender orientation, det spelar ingen roll. Thank you. That's not a peace sign, that means I've got 2 minutes. We can reflect deeply. It's only this side of the page to go, it's okay. The bottom line is that we have to be able to, in small steps, take control about what it is we are teaching children and young people. We must do this, even in our small way. If we don't at an early age, even in, wherever you are, I don't care where you're from, but if we don't teach it, even from the youngest age, what are we teaching them? Not only, and this is where it's difficult, not only that you are worth and of value, we must also begin to share, particularly with our children, not only their worth, but explain to them that there will be some people who do not think they are worthwhile, so that they are ready to meet the world. My son cannot come out of school and be surprised when the N-word is thrown at him. Now, I am not saying you use that in any of your work, absolutely not. But how can you stop that from happening? How can we work together? How can we make sure that we do not only share with our children what is great about them, but also share with them at the earliest possibility ways to navigate a world that may not think that they are perfect, that may not think that they are of value. How can we give our children this? How can we do that? If we don't, and I am now sitting at the university, the line between us is so joined together. By the time they come to me, things have already settled. It means that there will be young people because of what is missing, and this is where you are amazing, because I know one day you can fill these gaps, but there are still young people coming out not knowing. And I think together, between the art and the education, we can be more specific. We can help them to navigate, even at an earlier age. But it is also the responsibility of artists, not just you. We must also do that in the work. We cannot continue to be generalized. We can be loving and fun and specific. In our own small way, in our own small steps, we can create conditions that allow truths to be shown to children and young people so they can find the truth themselves, their own truth. And this means resistance. We must not only teach why everyone is valued, but also why some people do not think so. In our own small steps, we can make a difference. The road towards stopping ignorance, isolation, and fear, regardless of whether they will be a scientist, a parent, a teacher, or an artist, is to show that every person is of value. We can show them the stars and the moon. We can teach them to navigate the continent of Africa. You inspire them to become great human beings. You can teach them and show them through the clown performance or the literature that you share with them that they are of value. But we must also, both of us, in the art and education, navigate a way for our children to know that not everybody thinks like that, and that you will be ready for it. Therefore, what? Educate ourselves. Demand it from your school, demand it from your rector, demand that you are also given the opportunity to expand your mind. It is your right to do your best job. Decolonize yourself. Transform your library. Change the pictures. Include the work of artists that would normally not be included, of pictures of value and of worth. Trust that you have the power in your practice. You know, I know you do. You know when it's not good enough. We can navigate and use art and education as a resistance along the road. Nansingonya mama kiti baba. Hit up.
Josette, Bushell, Mingo. Tack! Thank you. Alltså.
Vänta! Teckenspråk. Inkludera. Fjäril i rum. Tack för det. Tack.
Får jag fråga, can I ask you just before you leave? I mean, this challenge, because I really want to thank you. I think we're all very moved and I think this word about resistance in these times is very important. What do you hope for the nearest future now in Stockholm, Sweden, or in the cultural life? You talked about resistance. Is that a key, you think?
Yes,
for
absolutely. I think what is important is to identify, because it can be very overwhelming, eller hur? Ja, men du sitter och säger, vad ska jag göra? Jag är en lärare för fan. Jag bara har en tidsgräns. Jag kan bara göra här sak. What can I do in my little place? The intersection of truth means that this day is resistance. It is a quiet resistance to say we will bring together some of the most important people in the country to debate these issues. The next thing I think is that you find out what you can do. What can I do in my classroom? What can I bring into the conversation? How can I make sure, help, support the children to be able to start to think of things philosophically? Am I hopeful? I'm always hopeful. Look, I got over 200 little seeds of hope out there. I have. That's what it is. And I know each one of you can do a small thing, and you don't need the rector's permission to do it either. You don't. That book, that word that you know it. You can do that. Du är inte mot någon. The government do what they do. But you're on the ground all the time with those children and those young people. You know that here. But before you do that, educate yourself. Tycker jag.
Tack Josette, verkligen. Tack så jättemycket.
Oh, thank you.
Super, thank you.